What's that? Howls from the woods, movement under the water, something that you notice out the corner of your eye when you look it's gone. This is Cryptid Talk. Hello everyone. We have got a very exciting episode for you today. I'm actually pretty excited from this one, even probably maybe just a little bit more excited than I was when first started, or even the Bigfoot episode, because boy howdy, I think minus Bigfoot, this is probably one of one of my favorite cryptids of all time. But before that, though, I hope everyone is had a good week and is ready for the weekend and everything like that. And hopefully you got something fun planned and everything. And hopefully everyone is also, depending where you are, is staying cool during this summertime, because, oh boy, it's going to start getting a little hot around where I am coming up soon. So, uh, whoever made air conditioning, good for them. They are a savior of our lifetime. So, today we will be talking about a very well-known cryptid. But also probably one of the not one of the most controversial, because in the category, in the hindsight of it, they're pretty much all, you know, they're pretty much all you can't distribute between if it's real or fake or anything else like that. But we're going to be doing Mokele-mbembe today, and I absolutely love this cryptid, because I it's just one of those things that, growing up as a little kid, like Nessie and stuff like that. The idea of there being a living dinosaur alive today is just like it's mind boggling. It's like, man, I really hope that's true, because there's so many stories of like dinosaurs all over the world and everything. And don't worry, I will have an episode specifically on dinosaur cryptids at some point, because even before recording this, I was looking at a few of them, and I'm just like, man, dinosaur cryptids are probably one of the most fascinating ones. And I was like, oh man, I gotta read these later, but I can't read them right now. I got a podcast to record, so can't really get too fun into it right now. Yeah, so Mokele-mbembe, if it's it's just one of those very interesting ones that there's not a whole lot of evidence of it. There is some. I'm going to say there's probably a bit more evidence of it than other cryptids that even seem less controversial, but this one seems to be a lot more controversial. But it's also, I would even consider, probably one of the toughest and or most dangerous cryptids to even try to research in person. But we'll get to that in a little bit, because I personally, minus Bigfoot and at least the ones that in North America that are pretty easy to do, I think Mokele-mbembe is probably one of my top cryptids I would personally go after if I could, but it is tricky to do it. Very, very, very tricky. So, Mokele-mbembe, what is it? Well, Mokele-mbembe is rumored to be like a sauropod-like dinosaur. If you ever watched Land Before Time, Littlefoot, like pretty much like the long-necked dinosaurs with the stubby little legs and the long tail and the crazy long neck. That's what Mokele-mbembe is described as. Excuse me. So Mokele-mbembe, its name actually means one who stops the flow of the river, because of of its size and its shape, everything. A lot of times it just seems to, as his name say, like kind of like disrupt or stop the flow of the river, just because it has been seen as such a hulking big animal. So, all right, well, what does it look like? The Mokele-mbembe, as I said, is like a sauropod-like dinosaur, has been seen between 16 to 32 feet long. It has a reddish brown color skin. And of course, long neck, hippo-like body, as it's been described a lot. And you know what? I'll even in the on the Facebook page below the episode, or near the episode, there will be a few things I will be posting. Some possible video evidence that I've seen, Maybe, and then I'll even try getting like just a normal picture of what people depict Mokele-mbembe as kind of looking like. But I guess if you have basic dinosaur knowledge of like a brachiosaurus, or like any sort of like sauropod like dinosaur, I'm pretty sure you got a general idea of it already in your mind already. So all right, so a lot of times the people of the area, because so where this creature is located is in the central part of Africa, around the Republic of Congo area. And also seen around the Congo River Basin, and supposedly in Lake Tele. So this thing is also, the interesting thing about it is that it seems it seems to be more of like a sauropod like dinosaur, but a lot of its places that it is seen or reports come of it are actually more in the rivers and the waters and the lakes themselves. Doesn't seem to be very many sightings of it on land, and that could be for a good reason, because if it's more along in the river and and water and stuff like that, it may have less competition for food. Sure, it's not nothing. If this thing really really truly does exist, there is nothing in this part of Africa that can hunt this thing, because the biggest possible animal around there that I can think off the top of my head would probably be like crocodiles. And there's nothing big or meaty, carnivorous on land. So at least in this part of Africa, so there'd be nothing there to really get unless besides man. But from what I've seen, that the locals have the pygmies of that area, experience this creature as being pretty aggressive sometimes and a little dangerous. A lot of times, people would just be, in their boats, and then something would rise up and knock them off. Or there've even been stories of it getting its mighty tail and then pretty much karate chopping the boat in half, all the people still in it, and either maybe even taking them out, or just scaring the bejesus out of them, that they just get out of there. The people in these areas seem to respect this creature very, very deeply, but also fear it at the same time. Some places fear it because it is seen in multiple different places, and the different people of those different areas that are along where it is seen, many people fear the creature. They do know that it is aggressive. Some people don't even talk about it like at all, especially with with the white visitors who they say that come to it. They don't want to talk about it because they're just so scared of it, and might be a little superstitious about it, because in in certain parts of the world, especially where they're more in like the jungle setting, many cultures are definitely a very lot more superstitious when it comes to a lot of like animals and mysteries and stuff like that. So some people are actually kind of terrified to even talk to anyone about it, because of just what some of the horrific experiences that some people have had about the creature. But again, not all of them are seen as being aggressive. Sometimes just people just in their little boats going in the river, and they see this thing eating leaves along the riverbanks, and most of the time they pay it no mind. But these people either see the creature and immediately turn around, or when the creature sees it, stops what it's doing, and then goes back under the water, vanishing. So not all of the sightings of the creature have been aggressive, but a lot of them, especially to a lot of the natives, have been seen as such. And so, which is kind of interesting, because should I get into that right now, or should I a little later? No, we'll get into it a little bit now. There's nothing really that crazy about it. So, if Mokele-mbembe truly is a species of sauropod dinosaur that was able to survive the extinction of the dinosaurs, and was able to stay hidden enough to where it could, survive for this long in modern day, but barely never being seen or discovered or anything concrete about it. So from obviously you can't knock up go much by it, but a lot of times sauropod-like dinosaurs, most of the times, have always been seen as very passive. Now, okay, by seen is I'm really only got much of going off of like like those little documentaries and everything of like Walking with Dinosaurs, like obviously not real recordings of dinosaurs, but just creating situations like that. And a lot of times they've been seen as a bit more passive, only being aggressive when they need to, especially when they need to defend themselves from predators, from when either protecting themselves or their young. Now again, we will probably never truly know how dinosaurs really did act back in the day. We will never know. We can take a lot of good guesses from just going from fossils and stuff like that. But of course, you can only learn so much from fossils. Like in the recent, like the past recent years. Well, just in how would you say that? But we'll say within the past, when did Jurassic Park 3 come out? Around the time that Jurassic Park 3 came out, there was they found out that some dinosaurs, velociraptors, and even T-Rex, some of them actually had feathers or hair on them. So they may not have been seen as all just completely scaly reptile monsters kind of thing, but starting to show the early developments of them getting like little feathers or hair leading up towards the modern day birds that we have today. So who knows? Maybe sauropod like dinosaurs were a lot more aggressive back then. Maybe because they had to defend themselves, or maybe they were just the get this PG, the jerks of the dinosaur world. Maybe maybe if a little dinosaur came by, they would kick it, be like, get out of my way, or be like, or to swing their tail around and yeah, you're in my swinging range, get out of here. Maybe. Or, they maybe we're all, again, like a lot of mammals, we're only aggressive if they really need to be. But we will never know. We could take all the best guesses in the world, judging fossils and all evidence we can get from that, but maybe we probably will never really truly know. So maybe they really were aggressive, and if what Mokele-mbembe truly is a possible sauropod-like dinosaur, maybe it's still holding on to the evolutionary traits that it had from back then. So I don't know. We'll see if we ever get any decent concrete evidence. Maybe there's a way of testing it and stuff like that. So what do we got in the sense of? Let me move you. What do we got in the sense of evidence for this thing? Well, sadly, there is not much. There is some. So one of the videos that I actually just recently found just before I started recording, I'm like, okay, I've seen this one before. Is back at one point the Japanese were actually flying around the area where Mokele-mbembe was supposed to be, looking for the creature, and they possibly might have found it, or possibly might have recorded it in a little lake that they were flying over. It's obviously a little, the quality is not good, and the quality is pretty grainy, I definitely will say, but it definitely does show something that is swimming in the water, and you can clearly see it going across. So that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. And thankfully, the little video that I saw, it does shrink it down to a bit. So or shrink it down, zoom it, gets a still of it where they can, and they zoom in on it. So that'll be one of the things that I will put on the Facebook page, and so that you can see for yourself. And just a quick little thing that if you haven't already, follow the Facebook page if you want to see some of these things that I will talk about in the episode, and so you can see it for yourself. So like that Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Woo! Okay, so what else we got in the case of evidence? The only let's see. There have been some footprints that have been found along the riverbanks of some of the rivers nearby, and they kind of show a very, very big, broad foot with what looks like three or so big claw marks, or just three very heavy footprints that the creature described, possibly may have had. Okay. And so those are coming kind of interesting because So the other animals that actually let's dive back a little bit. The other animals that do live in this area with Mokele-mbembe are as follow. Some of the animals that are around there is that crocodiles. There are elephants. Not really giraffes near there. Giraffes are more of like the savannah, or big big open green the big fields, the tall grasses. That everyone do. When they think of Africa, they think of that, with Lion King lions and all that other stuff. And like crocodiles and other stuff like that. So so that's what it kind of it would share itself along with. So there wouldn't the only thing that you could maybe get close that might possible misidentifications for maybe some for some of these tracks, maybe, or maybe all, who knows for sure, could possibly be elephants. Elephants do kind of have like if I'm correct, that's like a three-toe kind of thing. Obviously, they don't have like claws, but maybe if they went swimming in the river for a moment, or they were crossing it, they put their foot down, and their toes kind of brought it out to look like these three sharp-toed claws that are coming out of the foot, and maybe taking away some of the dirt might be a misidentification, maybe, but obviously I can't say for sure. But just going by off like a simple guess like that, that's definitely a possibility. That's for sure. So, but again, if it is true, that or it could be a real thing. So that would be the only thing I could think of as a possible reason for a possible misidentification for the tracks, if they aren't real. But I personally, I believe they could be real, but hard to say, because I can only get so much. I can only get so much information from them, from looking at them, from pictures and stuff like that, unless I actually saw them in person myself. But so not much there. Um, Also, on some other evidence on Monster Quest, when they were there in Africa looking for Mokele-mbembe, they might have possibly found a den of the creature. So along the riverbank, they found like these two like deep holes that went deep. It went pretty much at an angle going into the ground, and they pretty much had like a little air hole. So if there was something hibernating down there, that it would be able to constantly get air flowed in, get some air in there so that it can breathe. Now, obviously, it was way too deep in. They didn't have the proper equipment to look into it, but they possibly thinking that this might have been a den for Mokele-mbembe. Now, could it possibly be something else, like maybe a reptile? Sure, that definitely is possible. Crocodiles have been known to, dig, dens for, for either for rest or protect their young when that time comes. But those have always kept in like, they pretty much make like a little opening, like a den, like a little cave. They don't seal them off, so it is kind of interesting that that they're possibly like might have been like however feet deep away from them, might have been Mokele-mbembe resting in one of those dens, and they couldn't find a way of confirming if there was anything inside of it, what it was. So that would have been for all we know, that might be one of the closest to possibly getting some possible good concrete evidence coming of it. If only they had a little camera where they could have just, put it in there, as went deep as they could, and see if they could see who was home or not. But unfortunately, we will never know if there was anything occupying that possible den, if that's what it was. So some other interesting thing about Mokele-mbembe sightings, and just thinking that the creature might be in the area or something like that, is a lot of time the leaves of a lot of leaves along the river, like the lower branches of the trees, the leaves on them have seemed to be eaten a lot. Now, could it possibly be elephants? Sure, there's a good chance, but it's also just kind of interesting seeing all these little leaves along here that are just like just this one particular area. To a point, it just seems to stop. So kind of like, so say that if this truly is that creature, it can kind of give you an idea of height of the creature, because it obviously would need to be pretty high up to reach up to that point where it is. And then you can like, okay, so this creature's here. So, okay, we measure here to here. Maybe you can get an idea of how big the creature is. And maybe that could be used to point out some possible, like, okay, it's definitely not this or that or anything else like that. Now, the unfortunate thing, at least from I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, a lot of these seem to be like the creature came from the water and just reached his neck up and was going yum 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 yum, eating on the leaves right there. So unfortunately, most of these didn't seem like it came onto land, so there didn't really seem to be any possible evidence of tracks there. Sometimes there were some, but a lot of times they just be right along the river. They're safe in the river, and they go yum yum yum. You just go chomping on those leaves. Okay, and then so there's also a I will throw this one into the YouTube in the Facebook page as well. I'm not sure what it is. You don't see you do see something, but there is a video that I've actually seen pretty recently in the past few months of possibly a Mokele-mbembe being recorded. Now, it's very hard to tell what it is. You do see this big brownish reddish brown mass in the water for a moment as it kind of thrashes about and then goes back and then goes into the water. Now, for a moment, I have to rewatch it, but the footage kind of looked like it did have like a flipper, maybe, or maybe probably not. But obviously, because Mokele-mbembe, is not seen to have flippers, more like just normal lead with little legs. But it definitely is interesting. It definitely seems like there's something really is there. I've looked from the last time I looked, it didn't seem like a log or anything like that. It looked like a living creature. Now, it definitely there's a lot. It's nothing to take to the bank, but I definitely will say it's pretty. The quality is very good. It's very clear, so you can clearly see there is something right there, and it's moving, and it's got that reddish brown color, like a lot of people to say that is the color. That's what it looks like. So I'm like, okay, so that's pretty interesting, and so I will put it on the Facebook page, and so you guys can take a look at it for yourself and let me know what you think, and see if you think it's legit or not. But it's one of those ones that it's good, but it's not like it's nothing that you could easily feel like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, like it I don't think it's fake because there is someone nearby that's actually like either I think it's in a little boat like getting away from it because they're like terrified of like this big creature that's just going along in the lake that they're in right now. And I kind of hope, and not hope, but like, yeah, the video's not very long. It does this little thrashing about, and then it just kind of just goes away. And I'm like, what was happening beforehand, or why couldn't it be thrashing a little bit more, or how about like it shows its face and goes, "Hi there, look at me." Unfortunately, not. It didn't show its face or anything like that. So, and again, you really don't see much. It's just a hulking body. You don't really see any legs or neck or really anything. So, it's hard to say really what it could be. It could be something else or something along those lines. Oh boy. So, yeah, there really isn't much evidence for Mokele-mbembe because the area where it is it's also very dangerous getting there. Adam Davies, who's a well-known explorer, well known for his trips with Sumatra for the Orang Pendek, and also some of his times going to Africa to look for Mokele-mbembe. Getting there for him was because he wrote in his books. He has these 3 books that talk about all his stories and all of his adventures that he's done are really good. And if you've heard of Adam Davies and you didn't know he had books because I got them bought from him and signed from him a few years ago. Buy them; they're really, really good. Get them on Amazon. But he was telling the stories of how whenever he tried going to Africa from Mokele-mbembe, it is a hassle. More than just getting there and then the travel and everything. But during some of the times when he was there was a civil war going on. And to go through certain sections, he had to pay off people so they would allow him to pass safely. And, there's no guarantee that, they would even let you through back and blah, 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 blah. It is very much a hassle, even just getting to the location, to even get to Mokele-mbembe, minus all like the miles of hiking that you have to get through in thick jungle and it is just it's a very difficult cryptid to research. Not like it's like, okay, it's here. All right, let's just go fly over there. No, it isn't. It's not that simple. You gotta you. I think the nearest airport is like it's so far away. Then the rest of it is just driving and walking and boating. Are pretty much your only ways of getting to these locations, because the areas that they are such heavy jungled areas, and of course they're also just very dangerous too, just because of also the wildlife that's also there as well. So that's why I don't think I would not be able to go to Africa and look for it, because it would just be such a pain in the butt, and I rather feel like not dying. So maybe at some point I'll find an easier way of like teleporting. Just go bloop, bloop, and just teleport there, and I'd be like, all right, let's look around, and I don't have to worry about travel. Who knows? Maybe 200 years from now we'll have teleportation down to some sort of realistic science and stuff like that. So oh, and also, I will also throw this onto the Facebook page as well. But someone may have possibly found a Google Earth photo of the creature. It was in Africa. It was along a river, and it is. It's. I'm not gonna say it's. I will say it is pretty interesting. It has that generic shape. It's got like the little hulking body, the long neck and the long tail and everything, and it shows a creature there. So I'll put that on there, and you judge it for yourself. But it definitely has the shape, and it's definitely interesting. Now, I don't know, I didn't think about that because I don't know how old the photo is, and every so often they do update Google Earth. So maybe there's a way of going, because the person also the post that showed the picture also does have the coordinates. So if I type in the coordinates, and let's say I go those exact coordinates, and the thing's not there anymore, I don't know. Maybe it proves that there's something was there, or it could just be just the most dinosaur-looking tree log from above. Who knows? So I'll take a look at that, but I will also put that onto the Facebook page so you can take a look at it for yourself, and let me know what you think. And that's pretty much it. Just besides a lot of stories from the local the pygmy people, and the people, and just some adventurers and people who have gone there. Again, there's unfortunately not a lot of evidence that can be either disputed if it's real or not, because there's just not a lot, which then now leads to the one thing, the reason why people don't think it exists, kind of like many other cryptids like Dogman and just Lizardman and Mothman and just a lot of other cryptids, that there's all these fantastical stories of of this creature and everything, and then next thing you know, but there's like nothing to prove for it. All there is a story, which like, to some people a story is not a lot. A story is just what it is, a story. But everyone could say or make up a story, but then if you don't have the evidence to back up your claim, then it makes believing it for a lot of people challenging. It's not as just simple as just it's like, oh man, I have this fantastical story. Wow, that's crazy. Do you have any proof of this? No, I do not. And so, well, how am I supposed to believe you? It's like, well, but it happened to me. But like, so it makes it tough to just make people take you seriously when you've seen something like this, and not just be like, it's like, oh, look at this. It's like, oh, look at this. Like, okay, well, nothing to prove it, kind of thing. So it's your word against your word against no one's kind of thing. So. Well, Mokele-mbembe is in that category of the very. I mean, let's be fair. At least there's a bit more evidence Mokele-mbembe than a few other cryptids, so that's at least some merit to it. The other thing that I believe gives the creature more, not backbone, just more. What's the word for it? Like, just more reasoning of it being real. Confidence that it's real. No. Oh, nah, I can't think of the word, but more or less just gives it more credibility. There it is. There's the word I'm looking for. More credibility of the story is that these people, these are people who live in the heart of Africa. They are so far, like from the modern world, from the Western world, and just the modern world that is down there, and yet they've been telling stories of this creature, or at least have known of this creature for a very long time. So when the first Westerner probably came here and probably saw the creature or heard about it, they're like, okay, guys, we heard there might be a Westerner coming. Let's make up a story about a creature. Like, oh, what you think of? Like they're not gonna brainstorm this coming up. They're gonna tell the people who come by, like, this is what we see, this is what it's called, and it's very real. They have no reason to lie about it. These are people that would get absolutely nothing from lying about it. They're not going to get like famous or movie deals or a lot of money or something like that. They got nothing out of it. They are literally just saying, oh yeah, last week, yeah, I saw Mokele-mbembe down there. Scared the heck out of me. No, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, just a typical Tuesday. No, it's like that's not how this works. They have no reason to lie about it. So I find that interesting compared to other cryptids that some people probably might lie about or something like that. But these people, they're like, no, this creature's real. We've known about this creature long before anyone else came here and then started being aware of it. Another interesting thing is that, which adds a credibility to a lot of cryptids in my book, is especially for people who have lived in the area for a long time, like Native Americans, and the Aborigines of Australia, and now the Pygmies of Africa. When tribe members have been in an area for years, generations, thousands of years, and they know the creatures that live in the area, they can't really misidentify, unless very, very, there's a still a slim chance. Misidentification is always a possibility, no matter what, even for people who've always lived there. But for most people who have knows what lives there, and they can look and be like, oh yeah, no, yeah, it's like, oh, okay, no, elephant, yada 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 yada, like, clearly, they know what things are. So when Monster Quest went there, they showed people a little picture book of a bunch of different animals. So they went through because they wanted to try to see if Mokele-mbembe was more of a misidentification than a unknown animal. So they went through like crocodiles, giraffes, hippos, rhinos, um, other creatures like that, creatures that they know that do possibly live in the area, or that at least that do live in Africa. And who knows, maybe one like slipped over to where they are. And as they're going through the book, the people are going, no, no, no. And then there's one picture that came up, and they're like, Mokele-mbembe, like they're all like freaking out, like there it is. And the picture that they stopped that they were pointing at was a sauropod dinosaur. I think it might have been a brachiosaurus or something along those lines. And they're all like, that's it. And then when the guy looked, he's like, huh, that's interesting. So they clearly know what they're looking at. It wasn't like a crocodile that that if you didn't know that crocodiles can actually almost projectile themselves out of the water by using their tails and then pretty much like jutting out to grab grab animals from the air or from trees or a little bit of it higher up. So kind of like sharks a little bit. They come up from the bottom and get seals from the bottom of them. Crocodiles can do very similar things. So maybe they're thinking like, oh, the long neck that they're seeing is actually a crocodile jumping out of the water, not fully coming out, and then you see that this long neck creature with this weird head. No, that's not what they're seeing, because they know what these animals look like. They know what a giraffe looks like. They know what a rhino looks like. They know what an elephant, a crocodile. And yet when that picture came up, they all knew that was Mokele-mbembe. So now that's like, okay, these people have to be seeing something. Is there the evidence to prove it in the modern science world that we're in now? Unfortunately, no. At least not yet. Some people believe that it might be like a lot of cryptids. It's only a matter of time till the evidence, the footage is found, or some sort of hard evidence or something along those lines. So yeah, That's what I always found. I've always loved those kind of stories, and when they're talking to local people about a particular cryptid, and they're thinking like, it's like, oh, okay, well, this can't be true, and yet they have stories, some sort of depictions, like like Bigfoot has Native American depictions on walls that show a big hairy creature, and other cryptids like that have that all over the place. Um, the Aborigines have that for a cryptid in Australia called Megalania, of a very big lizard that's seen with people. And you could only like the biggest lizard that is there is our monitor lizards, and even then they don't get that big to anything like that. But let's not get too far into it, because I will be getting into Megalania, Australian cryptids, and something like that in the future, because there is some crazy stuff going on down under. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see when we get there. So that's yeah. So dialing it back, and that's why I feel like it adds like credibility to certain cryptids being real, because again, they have nothing to gain from lying to people about this. They're not going to get anything out of it except more people to come there, which in some cases maybe they wouldn't tell people. They're like, no, I don't want you here. Shoot, go away. Don't come here. But, they're just like, oh, they're the people talking about it. They're like, oh, yeah, I saw this thing. Wait, what? You did? Like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, tell me about it. And then, they tell them about it, and they're like, what? No. It's like, no, no. I mean, like, it's just, I feel like, again, adds credibility to their stories, excuse me, of seeing something. Like, now, could it be, could somebody's be a misidentification? Sure, it definitely is possible. You get like the worst possible, best like worst case scenario of just the conditions just leading up to where it looks like a fake, to looks like a creature, but in reality it was something that they know. But for people who have seen this thing in broad daylight and have seen the gotten a very good look at it, it's like, I know what that is, and it was not this, or this. It was Mokele-mbembe. And so it's like, okay, that's why I always love these certain stories when it comes to cryptids, and hearing the locals, talking about it like it's a normal animal for them, and they don't question that it's like, oh, whether or not it exists, they know it exists. So it always gets me little goosebumps when I think that, because like, all right, there is still a chance. There is still a chance there might be something out there. So fingers crossed we're able to figure that out. So there was also there. Okay, I also forgot about this too. That at one point there was someone who actually went looking for Mokele-mbembe, and actually might have gotten a picture of it. And like this person was talking about, like, it was like a good clear picture. Like, boom, there's a creature. Unfortunately, the people that they were with told them to destroy the camera. And the guy's like, "Why?" There's like, we got the evidence; it's right here. And I think, if I could be wrong, but it's been a little bit since I heard the story. But they believe that it might have been like, it might be like a curse if if it's shown. And again, it's the superstition, especially with people who are not used to cameras, might think that there's something more evil going along with them, or maybe they're like, what do I do about this? And so, or might be like a curse upon them or something along those lines. So unfortunately, the man was forced to destroy the photo and the camera, and possibly the best evidence of Mokele-mbembe to date. But we will never know what it looks like, and that kind of sad. Unfortunately, it could have been, I probably in the like, it probably would have been like the quality of the Patterson Gimlin footage of Patty, and the best footage of Bigfoot to date. So, but we will never know. When I heard that story, I was like, no, that would have been amazing. But we will unfortunately never truly know what it was. So, what's some possible things that people have seen, that could maybe something that could be misidentified? So there are possible black rhinos, maybe giraffes, crocodiles, elephants, kind of mentioned them before. Another one that they did mention is the okapi. Now, I briefly mentioned the first episode before of like this. It is a relative of the giraffe. Like this looks like this little hodgepodge of like a giraffe, a zebra, a horse. Because it just looks all different colors and everything like that. So they do live in some parts of Central Africa, and maybe some of these might have been misidentified. But I still don't believe that's the case. Because okay, maybe for someone who's visiting and are not used to seeing these creatures on a day-to-day basis, sure, maybe this could be possible that they might misidentify an animal because they're just not used to seeing it every day. Kind of like hunters who go hunting and they've seen deer all the time, bear, foxes, normal animals that would be in the area, and then they tell a story that they saw like a Bigfoot or a dog man or something like that, and people are like, no, 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 you saw A, B, or C. And like, trust me, I know what A, B, and C looks like. And this was not either one of those. It was like F. And it was something completely different from that. So I believe that these people truly are seeing a possible dinosaur that lives in the lakes and rivers and swamps around Central Africa. I truly do believe that. I mean, it's kind of there's a lot of other dinosaur cryptids that I've looked into in the past, and I'm like, okay, maybe. There are some pretty interesting stories of people who that they say like, I swear on my life, I saw this creature like doing this and like like in my backyard. And some of them, the stories are not even like jungles or remote areas. Some of them are in modern day sightings in in North America. So I'm like, huh. So if you want to see, I'll get into it at some point. But if you want to hear an episode about more dinosaur cryptids, because there are some that are honestly pretty cool, and I wish there was more information about. But some there are, and some there aren't. If you want to see a full dinosaur cryptid episode, let me know in the comments below of the YouTube video. Be like, yes, dinosaur cryptids, let's go. Something along those lines. Let me know that you want to see something. I bet you want to see more about that. Because there are some interesting ones. One that I love the story of it, but there's a chance that the story itself might be fake. But who knows? And I personally kind of hope it is real, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to run across that thing because I might be the next Jurassic Park victim, and I'd rather not be. And then that would be. It's pretty interesting on some of these possible dinosaur cryptids along there. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you want to hear more about it. So I also did find that there was let's see if I can tell for a good amount of time. One researcher went to the area to try to find Mokele-mbembe a certain amount, a handful of times, and one of the times that he was there, I believe they never fully saw the creature. They never really got a good look at it. But during one of their trips on the way back there along the river, this big wake came out of nowhere of a creature that seemed like it was on the top of the water and then quickly just went down, possibly causing this big wake or wave to come over and possibly knock over the boat, and it was just very, very shaky. And what lives in that area could not possibly make a wake as big as this thing did. So they think they might have possibly scared off Mokele-mbembe as they're coming up to it, and they didn't realize it until after the fact, not beforehand. Because reddish brown color, could look like a log that's just floating there on top of the river, and by the time you want to get a good look at it, the so-called log is gone, and you unfortunately now can't get a good look at it. You're like, ugh, curses. But but he never really got much of it after that. But and then going back in, Monster Quest might have possibly got something on his little sonar that looked like a long, like like a serpentine like thing, not like fully like like skinny snake thing like that, but like long head, body, tail kind of thing. But they couldn't get a better look at it with the sonar because they were getting really close to the border of the Republic of Congo, which is unfortunately along itself is a very dangerous area because there's always just excuse me a lot of like civil war and just a lot of gun violence happens there, and they couldn't get too close because they want to run into the chances of there being any sort of problems. So they couldn't stay in that part of the area where they wanted to be, where they could get a good look at the creature. So, what do I think? What do I think of Mokele-mbembe? I personally believe it's real. There may not be a lot of evidence to support it, but the local sightings of it and how to them this is just a real creature, nothing of a figment of their imagination or a fairy tale or anything like that, but a real flesh and blood creature. It adds, again, I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record sometimes, but adds credibility to their story instead of just being some random guy being like, oh yeah, I saw a mothman taking some trash out of my dumpster. I was sad afterwards. No, it's nothing like that. These people are saying they show the fear and the excitement and just everything that goes behind this creature. They show they're like this thing's real. This thing's real, and I just find that that's credible in my case. And I hope that someday we do get a good look at it, because I think it would be pretty cool if we did find out that this creature truly does exist and everything like that. So I think it is a possible sauropod like dinosaur, because Africa is a pretty heavily forested area. A lot of it is very unexplored and very dangerous to even just get to. So if something really wanted to lay low, it definitely has. It's probably one of the best places in the world where you probably could hide out and not be disturbed or found or anything like that. So now other people think though that the creature doesn't exist because, again, like going by modern day things, kind of like dinosaurs, for example. Dinosaurs we know exist because of fossils, the fossil records and everything like that. But in that part of Africa, apparently there are no fossil records of a sauropod like dinosaur in that part of the world, and or at least that part of Africa. Like kind of like a defensive. It's a pretty good example. Is that people use the coelacanth as an example? We mentioned the very first one, but it is an ancient species of fish that we know lived during the time of the dinosaurs, but is actually found in like two parts of at the moment, as far as I'm aware, two parts in the world, and it does exist today. So I'm like, okay, well, if a coelacanth can exist, why not a 25-foot like a long dinosaur? And it's like, yeah, I mean, we can't fully explore the surface of the ocean, or like the moon and stuff like that. But when it comes to land, it may not be the most easiest area to get to, but some people would argue it's like, but still a lot more accessible and a lot more being able to search than the ocean. So I'm like, so that's some of the people's arguments for why Mokele-mbembe. Because again, I mean, it's not a terrible argument to make of going by like fossil records. That's why fossil records and everything. So that's why some people say like Dogman and a lot of some of those other cryptids, how they can't possibly exist because they in the realm of science they shouldn't exist, because there's no fossil record supporting these things having existed at all and evolved or whatever through time. But I believe this, Dogman, this could be some examples of just, maybe there's a lot more to science than we just don't know. I mean, sure, like those parts of Africa may not be the most hospitable places for fossils even grow, if it's been like that for as long as it has. But long time ago, before before dinosaurs died out, who knows what the area may have been completely different to where fossils maybe could have been substantial, and maybe the area at one point the environment was substantial enough for fossils to grow, but maybe the environment changed after Pangea broke apart, and and everything just all over the world changed, that maybe it covered environment that used to be able to contain fossils, and now it's like below on top, or yeah, there's a layer below it, and on top of it, what we have now could be seen as, oh no, fossils could never grow here. But this is just obviously just wild speculation, and just some sort of evidence, or not evidence, but just just, I guess, some sort of just defense for those kinds of accusations. And I think that there's a bit more to it than that. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe we can be able to figure it out. Because yeah, the fossil record one is is not a bad argument, and I'm not gonna lie. It's like, sure, you can use it for some things, but maybe you can't use it for everything. It's kind of like what I mentioned with Nessie last time, that maybe this thing really was a sauropod dinosaur, and as far as we are aware, sauropod dinosaurs were mainly to land. They didn't seen as like little swimming little creatures like lizards and stuff like that. But maybe who maybe they were, or maybe they evolved over time to where land became too dangerous and they had to adapt to be able to swim to mainly survive in the water. And so maybe they evolved to be able to hold their breath for much longer than maybe that they could have. Again, I really have not much evidence to that. I mainly go with that more for Nessie, but who knows? Because it's, at least like I mentioned last time, I think evolution could possibly defend Nessie a little bit of, like, oh, she can't hold it. It can hold its breath for as long as they have to come up for air. Or maybe they evolve to where they can hold their breath for much longer. But hard to say really. But I don't know. It could something like this be the same thing for Mokele-mbembe? Maybe, but it's hard to say for sure. And I can't really say much, in the case of evidence and stuff like that. But hopefully someday we do get something that does prove it. And if it is, I think I'll probably just be as happy about that, maybe even a little bit more than Bigfoot, because there's just so much evidence of Bigfoot, and on how little there is Mokele-mbembe. I think I would pretty much somehow jump to the moon, and if they prove them Mokele-mbembe is real, be like, yes, boing, and up in the moon I go, and away from there. So we'll see one day. And without having to forcibly find ways of rambling on for too much longer, make sure I got all my points across. Yep, I think that's gonna be mainly it for this week's episode. Yeah, Mokele-mbembe, one of the most interesting cryptids out there, that has enough behind it to say that I think this needs to be looked into a bit more seriously than some other cryptids. I really think it should. I think it's like up there in like the top 5 cryptids that really should be taken seriously, a bit more seriously than it is now, and be more open-minded of the fact of it. But we'll see. Again, everyone is okay to their own opinions, and as long as they say, oh, well, I don't believe for this reason, sure, no problem. We have no problem with that. But I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully they all have a fantastic weekend. Let you make sure you follow the Facebook page, facebook.com/cryptidtalk. Follow along there, and so you get all the updates on of stuff that I've talked about in the episode, and I'll put it in the YouTube, in the channel there, and the Facebook page there. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm glad you're able to stop on by. And if you make sure hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, and let a family member know. It's like, hey, I just listened to this really interesting podcast. You should give it a listen. And then hopefully, they hit the subscribe button, and we can, keep getting up there. The channel is finally at the double digits. I know it's not crazy, but I'm hoping to, let's get our subscriber thing up to 30. Let's get 30 subscribers, and I'll be pretty good with that, and then we'll start just going from there. Also, August 3rd, Elysburg, Pennsylvania, I will be having a table at the Central Pennsylvania Paranormal Festival. I've already posted a thing about that in the past previously. So click the link and check it out. Save the date. I'm gonna be there, possibly selling some merchandise and everything, and hopefully, I'll get some more people who, maybe meet some people in person or get some more people to listen to the podcast. And then also another thing too. If you know anyone that has seen anything, not relative to what today's topic, but anything, if you or any of you have seen something, if you've seen something that you haven't been able to tell anyone, and you want some validation on what you saw, you're not sure what you saw, and you need another person's perspective of what you saw, or you're terrified to tell someone or anything like that, come talk to me. I got an email, cryptidtalk91@aol.com. Email me, and tell me your story. I would love to hear it. And you don't even have to tell me your real name. You can tell me whatever name you want me to know you as, and who knows, maybe I'll contact you back, ask you any more questions or anything else like that, or if you got any sort of evidence along with it, or even the story could just be as simple as just, I was driving home one day and I saw a creature about 8 feet tall, with brown, hairy, with red eyes, and then that was it. I don't care how short it is. I would love to hear the stories, because I'm hoping that if we get enough stories, that I can maybe dedicate an episode or a little. I'm also working on possibly getting like a maybe 20-30 minute episode kind of like thing, between podcast episodes, as a little supplement to hold you off until next episode, because I know some people are like, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry for a new episode. Well, don't worry, here's my little droplet of nectar to get you through the time until the next episode pops up. So I'm working on something with that, and so hopefully if I can get enough evidence, emails in, I would, and if people give me permission, I would love to read people. I'd love to read stories to everyone, so you can hear what other people have experienced, and just a nice little fun episode without really a big topic. So yeah, so Central Pennsylvania Paranormal Festival, August 3rd. I feel like I might have said 8th before by accident. Hopefully, if I didn't, thought it was 3rd. But August 3rd, Elysburg, Pennsylvania. I will be there. If you want, and if you're interested, you want to meet me, come on by. If you're not able to, but you at least still want to wish me a good luck or anything like that, let me know. That'd be great too. So I hope everyone I hope everyone had a great weekend and has a great week, and will have a good weekend. And remember, is it Father's Day coming up? I think so. Yeah, I believe Father's Day is coming up. So, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there and everything. And remember, keep your ears and eyes open for the creepiness in store, because you never know what you'll find outside of your door. This has been Cryptid Talk with Mike Madden. Have a good day, everyone.